Hello everyone, welcome back to a new video. Today's video I am going to do my makeup on camera, but I'm gonna give you guys a little story time, I guess you would say. This video idea just came to me and I was like, oh, I should probably talk about how me and my fiance met. So I really hope you guys like this video. I don't know how much I can say. It's pretty straightforward, really, how we met and how we became together, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, let's get started. So I'm not gonna say what I'm gonna put on my face. It's pretty straightforward. I just use all my everyday makeup products. So me and my fiance, there's a bit of an age gap between us. We're 14 years apart. So he is older, I'm younger. I'm turning 28 in next week, and he is turning 42. That's bad. I don't know how old he is. That's horrible. But yeah, so how we met is my best friend from high school, my sister-in-law, the one who was in my Bath & Body Works haul video. We were friends in high school. And then I met his brother through a friend, and then they got together, my sister-in-law brother. They got together in 2012. And then she had my nephew Hayden, who was also in another video. He was in, I did my nephew's makeup. That's it. He was in that. And so they were dating for about a year when I met my fiance. So we were at Eastgate Mall, and then it's quite funny how this even happened. So we were at Eastgate Mall and they said, hey, we gotta go pick up his brother from work. Do you want to come with us? And I'm like, okay, well, I kind of need a ride home from Eastgate. So I was like, yeah. I didn't want to bus home or anything like that. I was like, yeah, I'll come. So we went, picked him up at his work, and I sat in the back seat. He sat in the back seat. I was next to my nephew, and I remember this. My nephew was just turning 1 the next day. I remember because we were all going to Marineland for his first birthday. Me, his brother, and my friend. We were going to Marineland for his first birthday. Since I couldn't make it to the party, I'm like, hey, I'll go to Marineland with you. Let's take him. So we pick him up from work. I'm in the back seat with my nephew next to me, and then I was in the middle, and then my soon-to-be boyfriend sat next to me, and Hayden said something in gibberish, and I go, oh, really? You know how you can talk to kids, and they're like, ah, and you're like, oh, really? And then what happened? And I remember him turning to me. He probably doesn't remember, but I remember him going to me, oh, you know how to speak gibberish? And I'm like, yeah, doesn't everybody? And then, so we dropped him off at home. We were on our way home. We didn't really talk much in the car. On our way home, and then dropping him off, and I'm like, because I remember my sister-in-law being like, oh, he is so good looking. You're gonna really, really like him. And I'm like, at this time, I'm 20. He's turning 33, and I'm like, yeah, okay, like, there's an age difference. Like, he's not gonna go for me. Like, we're 14 years apart. Like, hell no. And so we drop him off at home, and I'm like, oh my god, no, I want him to come back. Like, he is really cute. I'm like, no, come back. And then he went in the house, and then him and his brother, and then they both come back out. Oh, okay, like, do you mind? We drive him to the pizza store. I'm like, thinking to myself, I'm like, hell yeah, I get to sit next to him again. So he comes back in the car, and we drive him to go get pizza, and then we drive him home. And then I remember this is our anniversary date, because how we came about is because, you know, him being a little bit older, he doesn't believe in, I guess, asking a girl to be his girlfriend. When it happens, it just happens, like, you know. So our anniversary is August 31st, 2013, because that is the day that we first started talking, which was, I would say, in the AMs, like 12 a.m., 1 a.m., so we just go by that date. And then, so we get home, we get back to my house, we're hanging out, so we drop him off at home, and then me and my sister-in-law are at my house, and then I'm like, oh my god, like, he really was really cute, like, whatever. So they go home, and I'm just laying upstairs in my room, and then my sister-in-law texts me, and she goes, oh my god, Joe just texted me asking who your friend is. And I'm like, wait, what? And I'm like, wait, really? And she goes, yeah, like, he wants to, like, I guess talk to you or whatever. And I'm like, oh, okay, like, yeah, okay. And I'm like, whatever, you're still lying. Because at that point, I did tell her, I was like, yo, he really was really cute. So then I was like, well, if he wants to talk to me, you can give him my number and he can text me. Because at that point, I really thought she was lying. So she goes, he wants you to text him. I was like, no. if he wants to talk to me that bad, he can text me. And then he texted me. So he texts me, and then I'm like, oh yay, like he texted me. Like, okay, I guess he really did want to talk to me. So then we're talking, and then they came to pick me up, and we went to Marineland. So it was just me, my brother-in-law, and then my sister-in-law, my friend. So it was just us three that went. But then they were, him and his other brothers and sister-in-laws, they were there with with my niece. And we kind of met up with them, and I remember in the deer area where you can feed the deer. Anyway, so we're at Marineland, and being in Canada, so if you know hockey, you know Toronto Maple Leafs and Montreal Canadiens, from my perspective, are two of the biggest rivals in NHL. So I was wearing my dad's Montreal Canadiens hat because it was summer, and I'm like, I'm not about to get a sunburn on my freaking head. So he's a Toronto fan, so he texts me. So we met up with them, and he was there, and he texts me, he goes, oh, I like your hat. And I'm like, oh, do you? Thank you, ha ha ha. So we're texting back and forth after Marineland, and I think even during, I could be completely wrong, because with him in general, depending, he's a very in the moment type of person. So like if he was at Marineland, so with him it really depends on the situation. He's a very in the moment person, like especially like if we're out to dinner, he hates being on his phone, like unless the hockey game's on TV. So if he was at Marineland with family, he probably wasn't texting me. I can't remember. But anyway, so then he texts me, and he goes, and he's like, hey, like, you want to, like, hang out and stuff? And I'm like, hell yeah, I want to hang out. And I remember, so we'd, like, walk, like, literally, if in the Hamilton area. We walked from Gage Park all the way to Bayfront, which is all the way downtown. And I've never walked so far in my entire life until that moment. And I was dying. I think I was dying. I was probably dying. I just didn't want to say anything because I really wanted to impress this guy, because I genuinely really, really, really liked him. So we hung out at the beach, and we went and sat on this pier, and we were just talking, and I was like, oh my god, this guy is so cute. I just kept thinking, like, I didn't know if he was gonna, like, stick around with me because of how young I was. And I think the best part is because we're not that big of an age difference. We're not that big of an age gap that a lot of people haven't ever commented on our age difference. Like, my parents really like him. Except for one person, she kind of had an opinion about our age, but I'm like, it's not like he's an old man. I do watch this one YouTuber, Mindy Minks, because at the time I thought ours was a pretty big age difference, just because I was really worried about like having kids and stuff, how it would be, or like, you know, I'm just like nervous of what like just stuff was in my mind. I'm like, okay, like what if it was a big age difference? Like, you know, I'm 28 going on 28. I don't want kids yet, but like at the same time, I don't want him being 60, 70 years old and our kids just going into kindergarten. Like, that's just me. I found this one YouTuber, Mindy Minks, and her husband are 30 years apart. And I was like, oh my god. And I thought mine and my fiance's was a big age difference. But, so like watching her, like, kind of like helped me a little bit, realizing, okay, our age difference isn't that big of a deal. For some people it might be, but I don't care about those people. But everyone out there will have an opinion. And I think what I really love about my fiance too is he is very supportive in what I do, or like what I want to do. Like if I want to work at McDonald's, he'll be like, oh, okay, like whatever makes you happy. And I think that's what I really, really love about him, especially with me being in school. He's very like, if he knows I'm like slacking a little bit, he'll be like, you really need to stop slacking. Like, if you want to do this, you need to do it, because you don't want to fail, like school. Like, you don't want to fail school. But I know we're not a big age gap, like I said, like 30 years apart or anything, but still like that thought of like judgment, like, but like at the same time, that was the biggest age gap I've ever known, except for like with Catherine Zeta-Jones and her husband. I can't remember his name, but once I see his name, I'll be like, oh yeah, that's right. But yeah, so that kind of happened, and I hid his age from my parents for the longest time. I kind of told them at the time I was 20, so I told them he was 28 or 26. I can't remember, but he was in his 20s. But then I mentioned something about him, and my dad goes, Caitlin, like, how old is he? I'm like, 33. And I remember my mom just kind of laugh, and they're like, oh, okay, that's fine. And they kind of left it at that, and we kind of never went back on the topic. So like my parents were like pretty chill about it. So that is kind of how we met. We met on August 31st, 2013, and the rest is kind of history. Moved in together, I think, 2 years later, and then we got our puppy Tessa. And then, well, first we got Toto, but then we had got Tessa. Toto's up in the window, you can't see him. He's right over there sleeping. And then, yeah, we've been together. We've been through quite a lot together, actually. So it's kind of like that's how it kind of worked out. And I love him so much, and I can't wait. I would say be with him forever, but that's already going to happen anyway, even if we're married or not. So that is it for today's video. I know it was kind of short, sweet. There's not much to it. But yeah, and this is the makeup I did today. Kind of loving it. Don't know how I feel about the dark lip, though. Actually, I kind of like it. It's not that dark. Kind of matches the eyes, actually. So that worked out. But yeah, so I hope you guys like this video, and don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and also don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!